Old World Elegance in 9.3 by 62, a great stocking rifle for Bison for under or around $700 US. Quite an odyssey. Stay tuned.
Okay, so here's a problem. When you get a gun in the mail with no damage to this very light stock, this is a 9.3 by 62 Steyr, and it came in the mail with this. It had a fixed crack originally, but it seems like either it got a sudden jar or there was some pre-cracks condition. So the dealer gave me it was a good deal to begin with, an even better deal now, so I've decided to keep it and try to repair it. This is the Steyr Mannlicher Model M. It's the Luxus model, so everything's steel. And it looks like in the past somebody who didn't really know what they were doing put epoxy on the back here. So my theory is that created a condition where the recoil was coming right into the back of the stock, so that this little round here was creating a wedging action, because it really looks like there was some pressure on the outside of this to make it break like it did. On the other hand, it's very dainty and also very dry, so I hope that the fix will work. If not, I'm going to have to buy a new stock, and that's probably going to slip me back $500 Canadian. I'm going to use a real fancy type of epoxy called G-Flex, which is a very strong epoxy, and it's a West System epoxy, and it's designed to have some real flexibility in it when it's dry, so it acts a little bit more like wood. I'm going to color it brown, and I'm also probably be forced to use some pins, because my fear is that although that creates kind of a natural scarf joint and it lines up pretty well, let's see if I can get it in there. There it goes. It lines up pretty well. There's going to be some outward pressure on that, so I'm probably going to have to end up pinning it. And those brass pins will be available, although I'll recess them a little bit and put some brown epoxy on top. And so this is going to be an interesting project, and it's such a beautiful rifle. It's worth spending a little bit of time on. In fact, am I crazy? But I'm always delighted when I've got a project like this. I wasn't delighted to see what had happened, but this certainly turns this gun into a total shooter, where when it's fixed with a few pins in it, I'm not going to feel like a criminal taking this beautiful piece out and using it in the wilderness. And this is going to force me to learn some new skills. You can see there's also some cracking right even there. So looks like I'm going to have to repair some cracks too. So anyway, I'll show you the next step when it's ready to go here. Okay, so I've started making little holes to hold these brass pins to reinforce it, but also to keep it from slipping. I'm going to put rubber bands around it. By the time I did this before, because it's an inclined plane, it tends to slip. So these pins will hold it in the right area. So I'm going to put a pin here with my good old vest tool, and I'm going to pin right through these two here. So I'll put about 3 pins in to hold it, and then I'll try gluing it. Now, when you start to roll, you really start to roll. So there it is. You can see the one little pin there. And if I got the mixture right, okay, there is the pin. I'm just experimenting, so I left it visible there. You can barely see the crack. I used a little pocket knife to clean the stuff out of the grooves. That worked out pretty well. Then I sanded it a little bit. You can still see the dull spot there where I sanded. And I'll blend that in a little with some wax. That pin goes through. There you can see the crack right there on the top. It's a dark line. And you can see that pin there will fill it. So that pin goes in at an angle. And you can see the other side. It lost a little bit of stuff here, but I'm just going to leave it, I think. And here's the pin. But that pin is hidden, so I tried a hidden pin there. And what I might do is put another pin right through here, coming through on this side, just to strengthen it a little bit more. Brass pin, and that one I will hide, and then I'll try to blend in the epoxy to look like checkering. Now I used dye on the glue, so the glue joints are pretty hidden. Okay, now that I've got this baby pinned with 5 pins, I'm trying to figure out why did it break the way it broke. So I think there was probably some cracks in it, and the way it broke was, as you can see, there's a crack here, so it almost like it got pushed out, and a crack here almost like it got pushed out. My theory is there's some wedging action back here, so I'm relieving the inletting here so that there's no pressure there, so you don't get that wedging action from the action pushing back and pushing out, because that seemed to be what happened. And then this has got a different kind of set of recoil lugs. There's a recoil lug right there. I'm going to rebed the recoil lugs and push them as far forward as I can while still getting a good purchase with that. So I think if I do those two things, this might go. It's a beautiful, beautiful rifle. I really like the Mannlicher stock. It's very dainty. It's a very dainty stock. I think this would be a better 243 stock than a 9.3 by 62 stock, but I've got 5 pins in there. I've got the G-Flex epoxy, which is designed to be hard, strong, and flexible, so it acts more like wood. So they use it a lot in boat building, and I think relieving that wedging action is the way to go. And I'll just show you again the rifle. I'm trying to work and do this between works. So you can see if I turn it over here that that's at a bit of an angle so that it would push back like a wedge. So I'm going to relieve that, and then there are the recoil lugs right there, and I'll try to bed the recoil lugs really tight so that there's no movement and reinforce it with epoxy so there's no movement at all. Look at that beautiful spiral barrel from the hammering, and it fits in the stock really nice. So all I'm going to do, I'm not going to glass bed it, I'm just going to glass bed that lug, and I'll use the original bedding except for this wedging, potential wedging action. And so there it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful rifle, all steel and walnut. Some of these, the non-Luxes, have a rotary magazine that was plastic that could crack if you dropped it. Well, this thing is all metal, and single stack column. I'm not sure if it takes 3 or 4. I haven't tried yet. I guess that'll be my next go. So yeah, kitchen table, workstation dash gunsmithing. I don't do the two things at the same time, and all the dusty work I do in another place, but there you have it. Steyr Mannlicher, Model M, 9.3 by 62 Mannlicher, stock, 20-inch barrel, weighs about just under 7.5 pounds. It got a great set of open sights on it. Look at those open sights. Let's see if you can take a look at those. Just beautifully, makes you want to basically just shoot it with open sights. But I will put a low-powered scope on it. All right.
You guys all ready?
We're good.
Okay, everybody got their ears on?
Yeah, we're good.
Got a little crack to it too, eh?
Okay, so there's the 9.3. That's the first 3 shots in just under 2 inches with the 285 grain S&B. And there's my first H414 with 250 grain AccuBond. So this gun actually shoots the AccuBonds well, which I'm really happy about. That's about 2,500 feet per second with H414. So that is the first 3 shots with my 9.362 Mannlicher Steyr. Looks like it's an inch grouper with hand loads. That's just the first hand load I tried, and that's an inch. That's an inch group. Nice.